Hey everyone, Mr. Take here, your average RSS player with 2,500 hours. You may know me for my Harrogate map, which you can see in the background, or my Rescale Sandbox live streamers map, Delapre and Lakeshire. Invite link for that in the description. Anyways, in this new mini-series, I'm going to be teaching you some basic tips and tricks for RSS, including how to use messages properly, examples spicing up your nature with them, and general use, ways to improve your building, and overall tips on how I've progressed over the 3 to 4 years. First of all, this mini-series will be presented as if you are new to RSS but have a general feel for the game, meaning you know your way around the GUI but still need some tips on building. Placing nature with placeables can be done in many different ways, but the most common way I see is people simply placing trees with no rotation at all in a straight line. Yes, it works, but it looks very unnatural, which leads it to look unprofessional and cluttered. You may think clutter is good. Yes, for the most part clutter is very nice to have, but it shouldn't be done like this. So instead, we'll head over to the build settings and we'll change our grid size and rotation size to 15 and whatever preference you would like for your grid. Now, what we should do is every time we place a tree, we want to rotate it and move it out of the line, aka judder them up. Eventually, when you're satisfied with how many trees you want, depending on your area, it should look something along the lines of this. And here we are, this is what it looks like now. Another note is make sure to have a variety of different colour of trees and add some life. Now this is all well and done, but it still looks very bland. The other reason for this is that there's a lack of colour in the track and also custom ballast. We'll now move over to here and demonstrate how we can make this look even nicer. Now, with this said and done, it looks a lot nicer now with the coloured variety of trees. I'll now show you and move on to how to do the terrain ballast method. To do the terrain method, head over to decoration and scroll over to blocks. Click blocks, grab displacement. What we want to do is we want to just randomly put this onto our plot. Make sure that you have, with your B tools, you have collisions disabled. This is a key factor or else your trains will not be able to run on the track. Now, following what I do by rescaling it, you want to just bring it to the scale of your track. Now, equip the terrain tool, and you can now bring up the terrain to make it look a lot more like ballast. Now we have made all the bumps and grooves, we shall recolour it into our ballast colour. I would recommend going for a grey or a dark brown. Now we've recoloured our ballast, we should also recolour our tracks. Using the colour channels, we can now recolour the track. Channel 1 is for the ballast, Channel 2 is for the rails, and Channel 3 is for the sleepers. With all of that said and done, this area looks a lot more spiced up now. It's not so bland, and it definitely brings out some details. I shall now move on to the next tip. Ways to spice up your areas consist of, but not limited to, livestock, rivers/streams, abandoned houses/tracks/clutter, and more. For example, there are 2 modules I've made over here. As you can see, one of them is very bland and has a few trees, some bushes, and a nice ballast. Although, if you look at the other module, it is the exact same, but with extra scenery, clutter, which consists of overgrowth, abandoned trucks/wagons, people/cars, and a nice nature. This overall makes the map look a lot more alive and gives the vibe of a very bustling little village. Know your era. What I mean by this is that you should try and recreate the accuracy of the time period that's based around your era. I shouldn't be seeing a 2012 Porsche 997 GT3 RS 4.0 on a 1960s map. For example, this is a chunk of a map that I made a few months ago. It's based in the 1960s to the 1980s. The area fits the era very well with accurate scenery such as disused trackside foliage, an industrial heavy town, and planned stations, which was very much like back then. Another thing to note is if you want to keep it as accurate as can be, drive the rolling stock and locomotives to the era. This map primarily only uses British Rail diesels and the rare chance of late steam locomotives. Getting into meshes. Well, let's say you've just bought the Meshes and Decals Game Pass and want to know how to use it. First of all, navigate your way to Blocks and click Part. Place that part, select it and hit the cog icon. Once you've done that, head over to Roblox Studio and grab the Mesh and Texture ID. I will be using a mesh of my old avatar that a friend made me a while ago. Once you've got the ID, pop the ID where it states Mesh ID, and the same for Texture ID. And there you have it, you've imported your mesh. Ways to spice up your areas with meshes and how to use them properly consist of what I've gone over with all of the other tips, just with meshes. Again, the most common mistake with mesh nature is people stacking them all in a row, not rotating them, making them look like this. So for example, this is my most recent map and the one I'm currently working on. It contains everything I've previously gone over and it's just a charmer. So, with all of this taken into account, I wish you well in your RSS endeavours, and hopefully this has helped you out in some way. Thank you for all joining this episode of the new series, and I'll catch you all soon.